You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning, it's January the 15th, 2023, and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News here found at paceradio.net. Good morning, Rev Kelly. How you doing on this frosty morning?
I'm pretending to smile, but I'm not smiling. I'm cold. I'm so cold. It's so cold. But I'm pretending. It's
well,
so
as you can see behind me and on my hand, it is sunny here.
It's sunny.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. We got sun.
We'll take that sun, but it's tricking you. If you think that it's warm out, it is not.
It's not. No, I was out there this morning actually getting some wood for the fire and found it a little on the cool side.
Yeah, stock up, my friend. It's a chilly one today.
Yes, that's what I was doing, making sure that the box was full so I won't run out of wood. So, alrighty, anything new and exciting you want to get to before we get into the news?
Just the news. The news is so good today. There's so much.
All right. Here we go. First story. This comes to us from Sue Today. Headline on it says, most people now buy weed from legal sources, according to Health Canada.
According to Health Canada, an annual survey from Health Canada, in fact, shows 73% of respondents are buying their cannabis from legal sources.
Oh, I think we've got froze up here. The number compares with 37% in 2019. The number after Canada first legalized cannabis, almost 70% were using legal sources. Pop-ups. In addition to more Canadians buying cannabis from legal sources, the survey also found that most purchased kinds of pot were dried flower or leaves, edible cannabis, and vape pens or cartridges. You back with us, Kelly?
Yep,
or am I back with you?
Who used cannabis in the 12 months leading up to the survey said that they typically spend close to $63 on cannabis each month, a drop from $73 in 2018. This year's survey questioned 1,690 Canadians between May and June.
I was thinking, okay, people are spending less money, but is it just the fact that the price has gone down, so people are spending less? Industry experts have long warned data collected by government agencies on cannabis may be impacted by users who are likely or who are still unlikely to report cannabis use or purchases from illicit sources to officials because of the stigma around the substance.
Yes, of course,
of
course.
Yeah, and it's
still there.
It's still there.
That's good news. It's nice to hear that, people are spending money each month on cannabis.
Yeah.
At least they have somewhere to go that they could purchase it.
Right. Yes. Exactly. I just got to find the next story. Come on.
Well, it goes hand in hand with this one because it's showing that where people are spending their money.
Yes. It says here on our next story, the headline on it says, some Canadians moving from alcohol to cannabis.
What a great choice. Canadians are making fewer trips to the beer fridge these days. Numbers from Statistics Canada are showing that drinking habits are changing.
Yes, they are. They sure are. And which is, good sign when you see that. And that is the fact that overall, it's just across the board. People are just spending less, essentially, or consuming less, according to Sylvia Charbois. She's the head of Dalhousie University Agro-Food Lab.
Alcohol sales are down 2.8% from last year, but have rebounded a bit from May to June of 2023 with only 0.9% decrease. There's a few reasons why.
The Chevrolet cites awareness of health concerns associated with alcohol consumption, erratic weather that keeps people from attending parties and summer barbecues, successful dry campaigns, and the rising cost of living.
Some of these products are quite expensive and people just can't afford them. To buy some of these products, Charlebois says, in Nova Scotia, it's slightly a different story.
Yeah, last year we saw a decline in beer, wine, and spirits, and we saw a slight increase with our ready-to-drink categories such as coolers, according to Tara McKinnon, the Nova Scotia Liquor Commission.
And recent numbers show locally produced alcohol is also going strong. We saw an increase in sales with all local products, including wine, beer, and ready-to-drink products in coolers and spirits. McKinnon says that's from April 1st to March 31st.
One thing that is up across the board is the sale of cannabis. Nationally, sales are up by 3.3%. It's even higher in Nova Scotia. McKinnon says that when it comes to cannabis, we saw a 7.3% increase in volume sold.
For the younger generations, the people who are becoming adults, they've grown, and now cannabis has been legal for 4 years, so that's likely making a difference, says Charlebois. Tara McKinnon says the reduction in sales is actually bringing NSLC's numbers back into the pre-pandemic range. Interesting.
There you go.
There you go. I like all of those types that they're showing there.
Well, we wondered whether, that would happen.
Yeah, of course.
Whether that,
Of course.
yeah.
You have another option. You have another
Correct.
option for intoxication. And people like the young people, like we're saying, they want to choose those cannabis beverages. They want a choice as opposed to the alcohol ones because they know that they're better for them. The younger generation are getting with it, with the health and the wellness and the consciousness. And they know,
Well, yeah.
alcohol's not good for you. So
Oh,
they're
yeah.
making those choices, right? And so the numbers are
And
going to
then
go
there's the
down,
after
thankfully.
effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
after effects,
Who wants a
yeah.
hangover when you don't have to have one? You don't get a hangover from cannabis. You might sleep for a bit. You might get an extra good night's sleep, but
You're
you'll
not
wake
going to
up
have a
fine.
headache for 3
No,
days
no,
afterwards.
you're
No,
fine.
no,
Just drink a glass of water. You're good.
exactly. All right, on to the marijuana moment with our next story. And then that says 12 state attorneys general tell DEA to reschedule marijuana as public safety imperative.
How amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a coalition of 12 Democratic state attorney general, and it's urging the Drug Enforcement Administration, to move forward with federal cannabis rescheduling, calling the policy change a public safety imperative. Those are big words, Al.
Yes, yeah. In a letter led by Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser that was sent to DEA Administrator Ann Milligram on Friday, the top state law enforcement officials said they were encouraged to see the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services recommend moving cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 of the Controlled Substances Act in the interest of public health and safety.
Wow. The Department of Health and Human Services said that, Al, in the United States of America.
Yeah.
It has to happen soon. It has to. For these
Yeah.
reasons, we encourage the DEA to implement a final rule rescheduling cannabis to Schedule 3 based on the Federal Drug Administration scientific and medical conclusions. They wrote, we see this as a public safety imperative and right in support of this policy change.
All right. As state attorneys general, we have a responsibility to protect consumers and defend public safety, they said, adding that they remain concerned about the illicit cannabis market, unregulated sales of intoxicating hemp-based cannabinoid products, and the continuing proliferation of dangerous opioids.
Okay. State-sanctioned cannabis markets provide access to regulated products that are clearly safer to what individuals can buy on the street, and supporting the effective operation of these regulated markets thus fits with our commitment to addressing the opioid crisis and rising overdose deaths, the officials say.
Yeah. And it goes on to say the undersigned appreciate that rescheduling to Schedule 3 will allow the state-regulated cannabis industry to continue to set the standard for legal products and work to eliminate the illegal market and unregulated intoxicating hemp products that currently operate in interstate commerce, regardless of the policy choices made. Demand for these products will continue, and they will. Meeting this demand only in a regulated legal marketplace better protects consumers.
Now, the letter also notes that tax revenue from regulated cannabis sales is material, contributing billions of dollars to state coffers. Moving cannabis to Schedule 3 would further allow licensed businesses to take federal tax deductions after being excluded from the scope of 280E provision, which would help them expand their investments into the state programs and focus on public health and safety in collaboration with law enforcement efforts.
It is critical to acknowledge the use of cannabis, especially among young, still incurs health and safety risks. Our regular regimes have sought to balance the mandate to create as safe a framework as possible with the reality of these risks, the attorneys general said, juxtaposed against the dangers of the illicit market and the unregulated hemp-derived cannabinoids. Moreover, we believe that there is a public health and safety mandate to protect the state-regulated industry by rescheduling cannabis to Schedule 3.
Rescheduling cannabis is the next step in the move towards a more accountable cannabis policy, the letter concludes. We stand ready to continue work with your agency to ensure that the state regulatory programs continue to exist under evolving federal cannabis policies.
Yeah, and in addition to Attorney Colorado's AG, the other signatures signed as Attorney Generals of California, Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, Nevada, New Jersey, Oregon, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island.
Wow. That's a lot.
Just a lot.
That's a lot. That's great. It's unclear whether when DEA will make its scheduling decision, but it has maintained a number of times that it holds final authority in the matter and is not bound by the HHS recommendation. The Congressional Research Service said that it's likely DEA will go along with a Schedule 3 recommendation from HHS, but it's not guaranteed.
But not guaranteed. DEA has the final authority to schedule, reschedule, or deschedule a drug under the Controlled Substances Act after considering the relevant statutory and regulatory criteria and HHS's scientific and medical evaluation. The agency said in a letter to lawmakers last month, DEA is now conducting its review. How long is it going to take?
When do we find out? I wonder if it says that.
Yeah.
DEA's statement came in response to an earlier letter from 31 bipartisan lawmakers led by Representative Earl Blumenauer, and that implored the agency to consider the merits of legalization as it carried out in review. The initial letter was criticized. It criticized the limitations of simply placing cannabis in Schedule 3 as opposed to fully removing the plant from CSA control. Why are we not doing that? Let's just remove it all.
Take it out of the control, exactly.
Being regulated. Yeah.
Well, they got 12 state attorneys that say reschedule it, and this next line says DEA has received a number of messages from different sides of the cannabis policy debate in recent months, including a recent letter from 29 former U.S. attorneys who urged the Biden administration to leave it as a Schedule 1.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I want to give them the middle finger up. If I
sure do.
I would do that. Oh, my goodness. Last month, the governors of 6 U.S. states, Colorado, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, and Louisiana, sent a letter to Biden calling on the administration to reschedule cannabis by the end of the year. It's such a fight.
Yeah, I know. Meanwhile, 6 former DEA heads and 5 former White House drug seizures, SARS, sent a letter to the Attorney General and current DEA administrator voicing opposition to the top federal health agency's recommendation to reschedule it. They also made a questionable claim about the relationship between drug schedules and criminal penalties in a way that could exaggerate the potential impact of the incremental reform. Just keeps going, eh?
Yeah, it does. You want to
Yeah,
pop off the next
yeah,
one?
yeah,
The
yeah,
next one's really,
fighting back and forth.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I guess that's what
Well,
has to happen
well,
until
it's good to see
somebody gives.
people, fighting to keep, to get it rescheduled. It seems to be more people are writing and saying, "Don't reschedule."
Yeah. How dare you?
Yeah, like it's just like what?
How dare you?
Come
It's
on,
the Anslinger
get your
effect.
agent. Yes, exactly. All right, on to the next story. Headline there from I'm not sure where it's coming from. It says that Thailand moves to ban recreational cannabis use 18 months after historic decriminalization, and it's from CNN.
Thailand's new government is moving ahead to pass new legislation banning cannabis, banning it in Thailand
And
for recreational use in major reversal 18 months after the country became the first in Asia to decriminalize the plant.
the relaxed law saw a lucrative cannabis industry catering to locals and foreigners alike boom across the Southeast Asian nation. But a new conservative coalition government came to power late last year, vowing to tighten the rules and only allow medical use.
Yeah. A draft bill
Yeah,
was released on Tuesday by Thailand's health minister outlining hefty fines or prison sentences. They're back to prison now, Al, of up
yeah.
to 1 year for offenders or both. It welcomed feedback from the public. This is going from there are thousands of dispensaries in
Oh,
Thailand
yeah,
now that are operating.
yeah.
It is the biggest tourist destination right now for cannabis in the world right now. And now, oh, well, in a few months, you're just going to go to jail for it again. Like,
Correct. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it? Cannabis and cannabis-related products will be limited to medical and health purposes only, the bill states, echoing the Prime Minister's pledge in September that his new government will rectify the laws on cannabis within the next 6 months. Smoking marijuana in public remained illegal even under the relaxed laws, but the proposed new laws will ban advertising and marketing campaigns for cannabis buds and extracts and other cannabis products.
they have people dressed up in the streets. They have the Hulk on the side of the building smoking a joint. Like,
Do you remember
what?
the Prime Minister was dressed in a big cannabis leaf
Yeah,
outfit?
now they're going to ban it.
Yeah.
An earlier draft bill failed to win parliamentary approval in November. Tyveson has been vocal but about banning recreational cannabis and stated in several media interviews that drug abuse is a problem in Thailand, apparently.
Yeah, he says we drafted this law to prohibit the wrong uses of cannabis, according to the health minister. All recreational use is wrong, is what he says.
Yeah. They reached out to Thailand's health minister for further comment about the new approval. Thailand became the first country in Asia to fully decriminalize cannabis in June 2022, a move years in the making and a rarity in a region where many countries give long jail terms and even death sentences for people convicted of cannabis possession, consumption, for trafficking. The neighbors of Thailand
Yeah.
will hang you for cannabis.
Singapore, correct. Yeah. Nearby Hong Kong, even non-psychedelic cannabis CBD is outlawed. Singapore maintains a death penalty for trafficking drugs, and residents traveling to Thailand are warned they could be prosecuted or return if they smoke weed overseas. Ooh.
Medical cannabis has been legal in Thailand since 2018, but decriminalization in 2022 took things a step further, making it no longer a crime to grow and trade cannabis and hemp products or to use any parts of the plant to treat illnesses.
Since then, thousands of cannabis dispensaries have sprung up across Thailand, as well as other cannabis-themed businesses like weed cafes and hemp spas and beauty treatments. Cities like Chiang Mai and the capital Bangkok have held weed festivals, and decriminalization has been a major draw for tourists. Say goodbye.
But Anatuan Charnavakul, the former health minister who strongly lobbied for cannabis legalization in the country, previously told CNN that the intention was never to allow Thais and tourists to smoke cannabis recreationally in public.
Yeah, he says Thailand will promote cannabis policies for medical purposes. There has never once been a moment that we would think about advocating people to use cannabis in terms of recreation or use it in a way that it could irritate others. Huh?
Right.
Yeah.
Thing we have always emphasized using cannabis extractions and raw materials for medical purposes and for health. It seems a lot like they're using it for other things there with their
I'd say so.
celebrations and marketing. Pro-legalization advocates have urged that the cannabis boom across Thailand has helped many Thais, from farmers to small business owners and workers behind the counter. Yes, wonderful.
Yep, cannabis entrepreneurs previously told CNN that they were strongly against any legalization that would hurt the growing multi-billion-dollar industry. The Future Cannabis Network is an advocacy group in Thailand, expressed disappointment at the government's actions and stressed the importance of public involvement.
Kitty Chapaka, a Bangkok-based cannabis entrepreneur who has pushed for cannabis legalization for years, called it a knee-jerk reaction from the government and said that it was not unexpected.
But no matter what happens with the incoming cannabis regulations, it is now too late for cannabis to go back to being classified as narcotics. Yeah, cat's out of the bag. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And you know, how are they going to put it all back? They've got all those stores.
They can't.
It's going to be interesting. Are they going to go around and charge everybody now?
I think, or fine people for sure.
Fine people.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, last story before we go to break. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, this is number 5. And here we go. Headline on it says psychedelic mushrooms go back millions of years. And this is from science.org.
Is it just a one paragraph article here?
Oh.
Okay, I'm just going to read a little bit and then I'll let you read. Psychedelic mushrooms sprung up some 67 million years ago, more than 65 million years before humans ever existed. And that's according to the most extensive genomic study examining different types of fungi.
Scientists who published their work this week in Proceedings of the National Academy of Science found that of the more than 50 species in the psilocybe genus 35 had a novel gene arrangement that coded for psilocybin, which is the part that gives the mushrooms their psychedelic quality.
Previous studies had identified a single different genetic pathway to the production of psilocybin, but the new work opens up the possibility of other ways to create the hallucinogen, Vice reports. People
are increasingly using psychedelic mushrooms to help manage symptoms of depression and post-traumatic stress disorder, and pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies could exploit these new pathways for psilocybin production to create a synthetic version of it or find related compounds in the species. Yeah, I can see where they're going to try to make a synthetic version of it. Well, they already are. That's just going on in some of these studies that we review. So
derive it right from the fungi is the best way, but it of course will have whatever the properties are. It's medicine. It's good news.
Well, Kelly, it's break time. Time for a commercial. Time to hear from those who help us inform our viewers. You're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News, found at paceradio.net and CBG TV.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net. When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Let's share PACE everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net. And we're back from our break and our medication session, and we're ready to bring you 5 more stories. Right, Rev Kelly? I'll get the words.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, for Marijuana Moment. Military veterans who received psychedelic Ibogaine treatment saw dramatic and life-changing improvements in PTSD and depression, according to Stanford Study Finds.
Yeah, this is such good news. Military combat veterans with traumatic brain injuries saw dramatic and life-changing improvements in their symptoms and cognitive functioning immediately after receiving treatment with the psychedelic Ibogaine, which is coming from new research.
Stanford University's researchers behind the study, which was published in the journal National Medicine last week, followed 30 veterans who functionally disabled with symptoms of TBI, such as post-traumatic stress, depression, and anxiety, and who had a history of repeated blast or combat exposures.
The team, which collaboration with the Foundation Vets Incorporated, assessed the veterans before and after they visited a clinic in Mexico to receive Ibogaine treatment, and they identified profound changes in the participants' mental health with minimal side effects.
Prior to the treatment, the veterans each met the criteria for clinically significant levels of disability. 23 had disposable PTSD, and 14 had anxiety disorder, 15 had alcohol use disorder, and 19 had been suicidal at some point in their lifetimes.
After receiving Ibogaine, in addition to magnesium to protect against potential heart-related complications, there was an immediate, remarkable reduction in symptoms with large effect sizes that sustained over time. Wow.
After a month, the veteran's average disability rating plummeted from 30.2 to 5.1.
Wow.
Wow. No longer qualifying as being disabled. They also saw an average reduction of 88% in symptoms of PTSD, 87% in depression, and 81% in anxiety. Further cognitive assessment shows improvements in concentration, information processing, memory, and impulsivity. Like wow.
Wow. Those are big numbers.
Yeah.
Those are staggering. No other drug has ever been able to alleviate the functional and psychiatric symptoms of traumatic brain injury. Nolan Williams says he's an associate professor of psychiatry and behavioral sciences at Stanford. And he said in a press release, the results are dramatic and we intend to study this compound further.
They are dramatic. Wow. The reason that the veterans had to visit Mexico is because Ibogaine is classified as a Schedule 1 controlled substance in the U.S., though interest in exploring the psychedelics therapy potential has greatly expanded in recent use. Yeah, no medical use. No medical use
Right.
for this. No.
No. These men were incredibly intelligent, high-performing individuals who experienced life-altering functional disability from TBI during their time in combat, Williams says. They were all willing to try most anything that they thought might help them get their lives back.
The Stanford team is planning to build on the initial findings, including possible incorporating brain scans to better understand how the psychedelic affects cognition.
In addition to treating TBI, I think this may emerge as a broader neuro rehab drug, Williams said. I think it targets a whole host of different brain areas and can help us better understand how to treat other forms of PTSD, anxiety, and depression that aren't necessarily linked to TBI.
In response to the increased demand for research, the Drug Enforcement Agency has proposed a dramatic escalation in the production quota of Ibogaine and other psychedelic compounds in 2024. In another major milestone, the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs recently issued a request for applications to conduct in-depth research on the use of psychedelics, psilocybin and MDA to treat PTSD and depression.
Wow. In a recent survey of veterans and active military respondents showed that 2/3, 64%, supported allowing VA doctors to legally recommend psychedelics. It's getting a lot of conversation there.
Sure is. And in November last year, lawmakers in the U.S. House Subcommittee met for a first ever congressional hearing on psychedelics, with the panel focusing on how substances like psilocybin and MDMA can aid therapy for military veterans facing mental health challenges.
Meanwhile, a psychedelics-focused drug development company has formally asked the Food and Drug Administration to review an application to approve MDMA as a prescription medication for the treatment of PTSD after identifying compelling results from a phase 3 clinical trial.
There you go, phase 3. So they've gone through the phases. I believe there's only the 3 of them. So that's good. When they get studies like this, it blows people away that, things have been demonized, like the cannabis plant, all these years. But yet we keep coming up with these things that are beneficial.
Help heal us.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what we need. Alternative medicines.
Yeah. Okay, on to the next story. This one comes to us from the Fresh Toast. Another good one. Medical marijuana may help with brain cancer.
Okay. Michael Strachan has gone public with one of his daughters has brain cancer. Since then, she is having a slow recovery. She is sharing to bring awareness brain cancer is an all-age disease. Over 100,000 people are diagnosed with a primary brain tumor annually. Brain and other CNS tumors are the fifth most common cancer. Over 30,000 children are currently diagnosed with a brain tumor. Over 1 million people are living with the diagnosis of a primary brain tumor, and it can be a rough road. Early research suggests medical cannabis may help with brain cancer.
It is proven cannabis has medical benefits, but more research needs to be done to better define how it can have an impact and help patients. Currently, the evidence that cannabis-based products can treat brain cancer, brain tumors, or brain cancer is limited. Preliminary studies have from the lab suggest that cannabinoid chemicals, THC and CBD, can stop glioblastoma cells from growing, causing them to die and disrupting the blood supplies to the tumor cells. There's a doctor that talks about that in the movie What If Cannabis Cured Cancer, and it came out in 2010.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So
There's
get the research going here, people.
yeah, long time. There's been some data and research around glioma, which looks promising. Glioma is a growth of cells that starts in the brain or spinal cord, and the cells in a glioma look similar to a healthy brain cells called glial cells. And glial cells surround nerve cells and help them function. As a glioma grows, it forms a tumor.
Primary studies from the lab suggest that cannabinoid chemicals THC and CBD can stop glioblastoma cells from growing, causing them to die and disrupting the blood supply to the tumor cells.
In 2021, an early stage trial led by Professor Susan Short suggested that adding a specific blend of these chemicals in the form of a drug called Sativex to chemotherapy could potentially help treat recurrent GBMs more effectively.
Yeah, it says here that another drug that's based on Sativex approved as a prescription medicine, the drug used in treating multiple sclerosis, was also found to be tolerable in combination with chemotherapy, with the potential to extend survival in a phase 1 trial in glioblastoma. I'll get that word out.
A phase 2 trial led by the University of Leeds is assessing whether adding Sativex, an oral spray containing cannabinoids THC and CBD, to chemotherapy could extend life for thousands diagnosed with a recurrent glioblastoma. Currently, it has an average survival of less than 10 months.
Yeah, they say that there's indication that medical cannabis cannabinoids can be helpful, but more studies are needed, as they say. They always seem to have that, eh? More studies. This never ends. Okay. Find the next story here. Here we go. This next story, it comes to us from Normal down in the USA, and the headline on it says, Twin study, lifetime cannabis exposure not linked to significant changes in mental health or other psychosocial outcomes.
The cumulative use of cannabis over several decades is not associated with a significantly elevated risk of either psychiatric disorders, cognitive decline, or other adverse psychosocial outcomes. And that's according to longitudinal data published in the Journal of Psychopathology and Clinical Science.
Investigators affiliated with the University of Minnesota and the University of Colorado assessed the long-term impact of cannabis use on psychiatric and psychosocial outcomes in a sample of more than 4,000 adult twins. Subjects were assessed from 1994 to 2021. Twins.
This study suggests that lifetime exposure to cannabis has few persistent effects on mental health and other psychosocial outcomes, researchers report. We did not identify within pair differences in cognitive ability. Cannabis consumption did not predict within pair differences in psychotism.
Yeah. New words every day.
Yeah.
Researchers caution that heavy cannabis use could evaluate the risk or elevate the risk of so-called cannabis use disorder, tobacco use, and experimentation with other controlled substances. Come on. I'm not smoking any tobacco, and I didn't go to any other controlled substances.
Yeah.
And I use it a lot. The study's authors concluded, broadly speaking, our results do not support a causal relationship between lifetime average cannabis frequency and most of the substance use, psychiatric and psychosocial outcomes assessed here. Rather, genetic and familial confounding most likely explain the relationship between cannabis use and the negative outcomes associated with it. The lack of within pair effects or small effects for those existing within pair differences in our primary outcomes suggest that cumulative cannabis use does not have large or lasting effects on many psychosocial outcomes. So did the one twin have cannabis and the other twin not have cannabis?
I have no idea. It did not say.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't say, but this
We're just supposed to guess, I think.
The study does sound somewhat sort of familiar, and that's what I was thinking, that maybe one twin consumed and one twin didn't. Yeah.
Like that Arnold
Otherwise,
Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito movie where one is big
first-
and one is small. Yeah.
At first, it said twin study. I was thinking it was two studies.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking it was twin people, but yeah. That's what it was. All right, on to our next story. And let me see. Okay, now I know where we are. I'm missing some little symbols here on the side on my screen when I'm going to pick up the story. So it makes it a little bit harder to find.
Yeah.
But here we go. I found it. And it says marijuana and the prostate cancer from Fresh Toast. More studies.
Yeah. About 13 out of 100 men are struck with prostate cancer over the course of their life. More than 95 out of 100, that's more than 95%, will survive their cancer for 1 year or more. More than 85 out of 100 will survive their cancer for 5 years or more. Almost 80 out of 100 will survive their cancer for 10 years or more. Science and data have made it clear that cannabis has some medical benefits. More research needs to be done, but cannabis has been used as medicine for 1,000 years, more than thousands of years.
Yeah.
More than 1,000.
Yeah, and it's more than since the 1960s, because some people seem to think that's when it all started.
Right.
Yeah. Studies of the chemicals or cannabinoids found in the cannabis plant suggest certain cannabinoids can be helpful in treating nausea and vomiting from cancer chemotherapy, as well as in treating neuropathic pain. The U.S. FDA has approved two specific drugs, which are dronabinol and nabiline, that are synthetic forms of specific cannabinoids for use in cancer patients with chemotherapy-associated nausea and vomiting.
Cannabis may help treat prostate cancer. Some studies have looked at the effect of chemicals in cannabis on prostate cancer cells. There are two main cannabinoids that have been investigated, THC and CBD. The studies found that cannabinoids may stop prostate cancer cells from growing and dividing, cause prostate cancer cells to die, and stop prostate cancer cells from invading other tissues and spreading. But these studies have only looked at prostate cancer cells grown in laboratories or in mice to understand.
Another study demonstrated that cannabidiol is a viable therapy to treat prostate cancer cells. In combination with silencing of RBBP6, this suggests that cannabidiol, rather cannabis sativa extract, may play an important role in reducing cancer progression.
More research needs to be done to find the best path that cannabis can help in the treatment of prostate cancer. Meanwhile, be aware of the early warning signs, including trouble urinating or decreased force of stream, blood in the urine or semen, bone pain, unexpected weight loss and unexpected fevers. If you consistently notice any of these symptoms, you should see your doctor as soon as possible.
Get to the doctors. You don't get to the doctors,
Mhm.
could be too late. Right? Okay. Looks like we're on our last story there, Rev
Yeah.
Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just got to find it in my list. There we go. I got it. And this one comes to us from MJ Biz Daily. Cannabis and accessory distributor Humble Fume gets creditor protection.
Okay, they need it. They're a Canadian cannabis and accessory distributor with operations in Texas and California, and they received an initial creditor protection order from Ontario court and intends to go private.
The distribution company will seek a sale and investments solicitation process in order to exit creditor protection as a going concern, according to a news release.
The company believes that the protection afforded by the CCAA will allow the Humble Group to address its liquidity issues and stabilize operations, Humble and Fume said in a Friday news release.
The Toronto-based headquartered firm reported having enough liquidity to undergo the CCAA process and does not forecast a need for additional funding at this time.
Humble employs 73 people. A court filing released Friday shows its businesses include
BOB headquarters in Brandon, Manitoba, based wholesale distributor of cannabis consumption accessories in Canada. Winship Trading, Kyle, Texas-based wholesale distributor of cannabis consumption accessories in the United States. And Humble Cannabis Solutions, which markets both cannabis and cannabis accessories in Canadian stores in Alberta, British Columbia, Manitoba, Ontario, and Saskatchewan.
And another Humble business, HC Solutions Holdings, is not an applicant in the Canadian insolvency proceedings, according to an affidavit from Humble Fume CEO Jacob Ripstein.
And that's because HC Solutions Holdings is a joint venture between Humble and Green Acre Capital Distribution Corp that provides cannabis marketing and distribution solutions to other license holders in California.
Now, according to Ripstein's affidavit, previous Humble management focused excessively on accessories revenue growth over profitability. Ooh, throws them under the bus.
Yeah. The company suffered from excessive inventory building up, which had the effect of eroding working capital, increasing storage costs.
Much of this inventory was for slow turnaround and unpopular accessories, which could only be sold to customers at very low margins or at a loss.
Ooh. Yeah, that's why some companies live off a truck. They don't like to keep stock sitting there,
Right.
inventory sitting there and paying for it if it's not being, just sitting in the back room, right?
Of course.
Despite 18 months of right-sizing workforce and footprint, the company is insolvent. Humble reported $25 million, which is 18.7 million US net loss for the year ending June 30th.
Humble expected that a June 2021 public listing on the Canadian Securities Exchange would bring new capital, but the drop in cannabis stock valuations caused further difficulty in raising funds via the capital markets.
The company reported in early December that it received a failure to file cease trade order from the Ontario Security Commission. The company hopes to revert to being privately held, saving costs of between 1.2 and 1.5 million a year. There you go. Another
what
one
do you think? 6 months till they're gone altogether? Or?
Yeah, probably. Won't be long.
Won't be long now. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Another one bites the dust.
Yeah. Oh, we got to say hi to Sid. Sid visited us earlier today. And as well as Jimmy B. He stopped in too.
Hi, Jimmy B.
Yeah, I know Jimmy B. Know him well. All right. Anything before we say goodbye? I see we're done a little bit earlier than normal, but that's all right.
We're done a little bit early. We've got, just keep watching the socials. We've got our Doobies for Sleeping Bags drive that's happening in the Peterborough area and Peterborough County, Peterborough area, Northumberland. So all of you just come and bring us your sleeping bags in your tents, and I'll
All right,
post them.
sounds good.
Thanks.
Okay, other than that, from the Legacy420.com news desk, that's the news for today. We hope you found it educational and informative. Thanks to Legacy420.com, Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, and LimestoneCityHydroponics.ca. And to you, our viewers, for tuning in. Catch our next Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News Report with Glenn and myself on Thursday at 10 o'clock. Other than that, keep the sun shining, and let's hope she gets a little warmer out there. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.